Grateful to have you all here today. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different today. Can you guys hear me okay? Share where you're at. I'm actually here, like I said, at the Bonnet Creek Nelson Nash think tank. This is my first think tank. As you can see, I am a certified infinite banking practitioner, which means I learned from PhD economists, went through a course, how to actually qualify, get interviewed to be in this. And that's something I want to talk about today with all of you. This super special community that we are all part of, that you are all part of. And why is it special? It's special because this is a choice. This is a choice to look at the truth about money, to look about what you want for your family, and to understand that you are able to do this. You can do this, and you have the ability to do this. And by doing this, what do I mean? The infinite banking concept, the ability to take back control of your money, to set up generational legacy, and most importantly, to make sure you're building a rock solid foundation that'll be there not only for today, but for generations to come. And so what I thought I would do today is share some of my takeaways. There's been some amazing speakers. It started off with talk about conspiracy and evil in the world from Carlos Lara, who was a co-author of a few books with the great Nelson Nash. And one thing I want everyone here to do today, I want you to go subscribe to the Nelson Nash YouTube channel and watch the Nelson Nash documentary, because Nelson is why we're all here together. The man, his thinking, his challenging of the status quo, his challenging of what people thought was normal, what financial planners, the Wall Street government are pushing down our throats with marketing and with propaganda and with everything else, pushing this amazing country, and don't get offended with this, but towards socialism. Okay. We want to look at how can we bring it back to Austrian economics. And these are just some of the high level moment of thoughts, stream of consciousness. I wrote some notes down, and I'm glad for all of you to be sharing this with me. The first thing I want to share with you all is it's about keeping it simple. I know we often talk about, keeping it simple with Sipple, but do simple better was one of the thoughts shared by two teenagers. A teenager who he's grew up in this, Jason Lowe's son, right, came down. He's a Canadian IBC practitioner and learned directly from Nelson. Jason is a great man and a great thinker in the space. But his son, 16, has been practicing banking and going to banking meetings for his whole life. And his cousin spoke last year at the think tank, and they spoke this year at the think tank, and they're helping future generations look at how they can take control of their money, how they can set up themselves at a very, very early age for generational wealth. And when they earn money, they're earning money so they can pay back the loans that they borrowed for the things they want, whether it's an Xbox, a computer, a bike, or whatever it is. And I thought that was outstanding. And the way that they shared it, and they're writing a book, and the way they're on stage being courageous and sharing this. And when they're up there, I was thinking, I can't wait to Connor has the opportunity to speak to others and tell old stories to new people. And I was amazed by the community that's here. And this community hasn't been around that long. The Nelson Nash, this think tank, started in 2013, or the practitioners program at least started in 2013. So it hasn't been around that long. It's only 12 years. Nelson started this concept when he started studying Austrian economics in 1957. In 1957. And then he got into life insurance. His parents, actually, he grew up dirt poor. Nelson grew up so poor that until the age of 9, they didn't even have a bathroom in their home, a toilet in their home. And so his parents at the age of 13 put $1,000 life insurance policy on him, again at 16. And Nelson, for whatever reason, maybe because of his parents doing that at such an early age, became fascinated with life insurance. And his older brother, he had two brothers, one of his older brothers worked for State Farm. And at some point when Nelson had made a move for a position, even though a pastor had told him, and this is back when he was doing the planning and doing his thing with environmental, the trees and forestry. That's it. And he made a move for financial reasons against his better judgment. And within 6 months, he realized that he shouldn't have made that move. And so at that point, he needed work. He needed to be able to provide for his wife, provide for his daughter. And he took a job with his brother or with a life insurance. And Nelson was very focused. Nelson was very focused on getting his outcomes. And he began becoming the best life insurance person he could. He would go to people's houses. He would go and sit with you and have coffee with you. Could you imagine having Nelson tell you, hey, what's the cost of this? Oh, it costs nothing because it's protecting your family. And the way he thought and spoke and just the kind of man he was someone that was super solid in principles. And that's how this morning started out. It started with Carlos Lara talking about that when you see the truth, you can't change the truth. And he talked about there are such things as evil ideas. There is such things as evil in the world. There are systems in place to keep us in control, to keep us slaves to our finances, keep us slaves to the banks. And those are the banks. And why are banks evil? Banks are evil because they create inflation. They print money. And that thought alone was, well, how can we not finance things through the banks? Well, we bring back banking to the you and me level. And so as I'm sitting there, like I have all these thoughts going on. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm super excited to be here. And I have all of these different thoughts running. And I look around the room and there's only 300 to 400 people here. And about half of the room are practitioners, and the other half are students and they're learning or they're guests like Patty. And I think this is so amazing. I still can see how one day in the future, everyone you guys know, everyone I know is going to be better off for what we're learning together. And I also see that why doesn't everybody do this? Back to that original thought, the first time you read Nelson's book, and I believe I brought a copy with me. I know I always try to pay homage to it. But Nelson, right? And they joked around from the 4th to the 5th edition. Nelson's face used to be on the cover. And then his son-in-law, David, who now runs the Nelson Nash think tank, put the bank, had it redesigned and put this on the cover. And so just reading that book, going through the knowledge, and I know that anyone that's been through the process with me has started their, going through underwriting, got their policies in place. Some of you here have multiple policies. You've been practicing for a while. Some of you are still learning, and some of you might be new here. And if you're new, make sure, like always, that you're smashing the like button, you're subscribing to the channel, you're ringing the bell, because like Connor likes to say, it might just turn orange, and it's always going to alert you to new content. But think about the community that we're building. Think about what we're building in truth and light. I look around the room. I'm a little bit of a Star Wars nerd, and I thought, as you guys know, with the Yoda that's usually behind me, right? There is no try. There always is, only is do or do not. And when I looked around the room, I thought this is a room full of light, full of lots of different personalities, lots of different backgrounds, lots of different demographics, lots of different ages. But at the end of the day, the truth is the truth. And when we know what the truth is, when you see the truth, when you understand that money is simple, when you have teenagers explaining infinite banking to a group of adults, some people in there have their PhD in economics. One of the guys who spoke earlier, Ryan Griggs, I'd like you to check him out too. Another great practitioner that learned from R. Nelson back when he was in college, and now he's 32. And when he was on stage, he had the presence of someone that was much older, someone that was much wiser. Why? Because he's been around this. He's seen how it changes people's lives, and it changes your life through a process, through a systematic, intentional, action-packed process. And it's by taking back control of that process. It's by putting the systems in place and by protecting yourselves that you can use this simple process of the specially engineered whole life or just permanent life insurance that's set up for early cash value to really build not only for your current financial needs, but also for your future, and then your future's future, and so on and so forth, which is the first principle of long-term thinking. We had a guy who walked up to us Looked amazing, by the way. And he's like, hey, I just felt like I needed to say hi to you. I'm going to speak tomorrow. My name is Mike, and I want to tell you my story. I want to tell you how it changed my family's life when I learned about this 20 years ago. He said, it's almost like my story, which you guys have heard, but Mike Fletcher goes to me, hey, Jason, I got the book and I was reading it one night and I finished the first read. I started like 10 o'clock and I finished around, 12:30, 1 in the morning. And I read it again and I woke up my wife dead asleep, 3 o'clock in the morning, like, baby, I got to tell you something. You got to see this. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is 20 years ago. And now it's changed not only his future, all of the clients, all of the families he's had the blessing to help, but it's changed his kids' future. His kids are in their 40s now. It changed his grandkids' future. So he's already impacted 3 generations of his family because of that one book 20 years ago. And then I actually told him who my original mentor is, Brian Reppel, who, handed me the book when I asked for a financial philosophy. And he's like, I know Brian. I know his father, Glenn. Great people. Where is he? I'm like, oh, Brian's on his journey of, his spiritual journey. He's also doing a lot of different things in this space, but he's not here today. And it was just great to see connected branches of the community. And again, all of you get to know each other, exchange information, make sure that this is something that you guys are sharing with others. Bring your friend, invite everybody onto this infinite banking bus. So the first thing today I wrote down was keep it simple and do simple better. And then the second part was from Carlos, that there are such things as evil ideas. And that's the system that we're all fighting against. That's a system that has us enslaved no matter how much money you make. Because if you don't know what the rules of the game are, how can you possibly play and how can you possibly hope to win? And so, the reason we say that banks are evil, they print money that didn't exist. And if you and I did that, we would be sharing a 6x6 cell, right? Like it would be called counterfeiting. We're counterfeiting money. That's what banks are doing on a daily basis. And that's why our economy is the place it's at today. That's why America is going where it's at. And that's why your common financial advisor doesn't have your best interest. Someone that tells you, hey, you're not smart enough to control your money. You're not smart enough to understand about money. So just give me your money and I'll take care of it for you. That is what people have been groomed to do for ages. And the reality is every single one of you here is definitely smart enough to take control of your own money, is definitely bright enough to do something this simple. And you all have the heart and the ability and the space. And all it takes is a little bit more faith in yourself, a little bit more love and attention to paying yourself first. And so some of the other things, we'll think long range, right? This is from diapers to dollars from the teenagers. You're going to pay your premiums so you have access to the money. You're not stealing the peas. You make a plan. You can't change the truth. IBC is a lifestyle and you get to own the idea. Now, I'm going to flip through this notebook with you and see what else kind of come up. One of the things, again, I'm not going to give you the whole Carlos Lara story, but it was about Kennedy. It was about the assassination. It was about, he actually was the neighbor of Lee Harvey Oswald and actually knew Lee's wife and actually was helping Lee's wife learn English. And so whatever happened there, there's tons of books written about this. There's tons of things, but just at that point, you have to understand that we have to challenge what we're told to be the truth. We have to look for the truth ourselves. And again, once you see what the truth really is, you'll know what to do. You're here on a weekly basis because of the community, because of your intentions towards your future, because of the things that you want. And again, when you know what you want, you're already doing something different. You're already thinking in a different way. And that's where everything starts. It starts with our thinking. That might be Nelson's 5th principle, is rethink your thinking. But the first step to setting up your future is the permission to know what you want, to dream about what you actually want, and to co-create it or create it for yourself by sitting and giving yourself the space. If you guys got questions, you got things you want to know what I've learned so far, I'm going to go learn a bunch more. So I'll have a bunch more next week to share with you. But I went from 1931 through Nelson's whole life, all the way through, 2019 and his passing. And then we looked at here's some more about, some things, notes I wrote down. Own the idea. This is your responsibility. If you bring the willingness, we can achieve success together. And this is the IBC lifestyle part. And this is the part that we talk about every week. I know last week I really talked about your thinking, about your language, about how you speak with yourself, about your words about money, about your relationship to money, how you can take the time to understand those things, write down what that is for you. An exercise we did was the laws of an abundant banker. So if you guys want to participate in the Nelson Nash think tank with me, grab a pen and paper. I'm going to give you a couple items here, and then you're going to take a moment and rate yourself, or rate yourself later if you want. So laws of an abundant banker. I'm going to give you 10 things you can write down. Long range, right? Nelson's first principle, think long term. Number 2, at least 2 or 3 generations down the road. Okay. Number 3, about new ways to capitalize my system. Number 4, about how many P's I can put back on the shelf now and in the future, which means paying back your loans, having a plan. Number 5, about reducing my dependency on third-party banks, which is number 4, right? In the principles from Nelson, don't use the banks to finance things. Number 5, about reducing my dependency on third-party banks. Sorry, I read that one twice. Number 6, about an abundant future. Number 7, the new and amazing opportunities will continually show up for me. And notice the language with this is how this is written. Number 8, that I can improve my own thinking. Number 9, about the things and people I am grateful for. And number 10, I have a future that is much bigger than my past. So if you were able to capture that, if someone can capture any of that in the chat, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 where you're currently at with each of those things. Thinking long range, thinking 2 to 3 generations down the road, thinking about new ways or creating new ways to capitalize or pay yourself, pay the system, about how you can pay back your loans, how you can put back the P's, how you can reduce your dependency on needing to borrow from banks or third parties, how you can have an abundant future, thinking long-term, thinking about what's possible, right? A life of possibility. Number 7 is that new and amazing opportunity that will show up for me. How is life happening for me? Might be another way to say that. Number 8, that I can improve my own thinking. Number 9, about the things and people I am grateful for. And 10, I have a future that is much bigger than my past. I have a future that is much bigger than my past. Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. I found that I was a 6 and a 7 and a 5. I have 1 9 in here, the last one. I have a future that is much bigger than my past. That is something that I am constantly repeating to myself, constantly why I come out and I show up and I'm here for you guys, for us as a community, because I believe that this is just the beginning of the beginning of the beginning. And yes, I'm 50. Yes, that this is going to be a legacy that goes on long after I am gone. But I know that by being here and knowing that this is just the tip of the iceberg, there's so much more depth here. There's so much opportunity for us to spread this word, to invite people onto the infinite banking bus, to find the way to share that feeling of freedom that each and every one of us wants. And each and every one of us are showing up and we're doing the work and we're able to support each other on this journey. So when you rate yourself 1 to 10, I want you to pick 2 or 3. I picked the long range thinking. I picked about new ways to capitalize the system. And I picked the about an abundant future. And then write, what are some action steps that you can take today to bring that to another level, to bring that up another number? If you're a 6, how do you bring it to a 7? If you're a 5, how do you bring it to a 6? If you're an 8, how do you bring it to a 9? If you're a 10, I think you got to reconsider that. Maybe you've been working on that really hard and you could rate yourself as a 10. But I know, like our chief master, when he was asked what level of teacher you are after 31 years of Taekwondo and being an 8th degree black belt, he rated himself a 9. There is constant and never ending improvement. You will never arrive. The arrival syndrome, which is one of the things we all have to overcome. There is no arrival. It is about who we become on the journey. So pick the ones that you want to. They don't have to be the ones I pick, but pick the ones that you want to rate yourself, and then write the steps on how you can improve. I'll share mine. For long range, I put more being, less doing. So what I mean by that is consistently creating space to think, consistently slowing down, not reacting, and being proactive with my actions, being proactive with coming prepared to deliver information and new messages and new ways of talking about the same concepts, so I can continually help the light bulbs go on, continually help others make progress, right? To take that space, how can I go and share this message more often? How can I go and speak in front of different groups that haven't heard about this yet? How can we teach those? And I love that, Shane. Congrats. A few threes and a few 6s and 7s. We are youthful looking up. Thank you, Lee. Yes, we are youthful looking. And I don't know if you're talking about me or just the whole group, but yes, number 7 for me was an about abundant future. And I put continually revisiting our wants. You know, it's okay to want what you want without any conditions attached to it, whatever it is. You could want to own a plane, a jet, whatever, an island, whatever you want, it's okay to want it. The how can come later, but just give yourself permission to want the things you want. And so for me, it was revisiting that 10-year vision, that 3-year picture, and looking at the things I want. And then sometimes I decide maybe I don't really want that after I've thought about it for a while. Maybe it's not something that's really pulling me, that magnet that Jim Rohn talks about. It's not pulling me towards the future. And about new ways to capitalize the system, that means turning on that first system, first job of making more money. New ways to capitalize the system is finding out how to go and speak with new groups, how to share this message that is being spread on the YouTube channel, on the webinar, on the blog, just new ways to share and invite more people to the infinite banking bus. And also continually getting my family involved. Like the biggest blessing I can share with all of you is the fact that Patty decided that she wanted to come to this. I'm not even sure I invited her. I think she just told me that she was coming and looked it up and went and paid for herself to join me. And she's here and participating, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I look around the room, and if you can have your spouse, your best friend, the one that you want to show up for, showing up for you and what you dream about, like it's almost moving me to tears at the moment. Or maybe I'm just stuffed up. But with that, I'm excited to go and learn more for all of you. I'm excited to continue sharing this message for each of you and get some more photos with some of the goats that are here, some of the ones that actually created this. Think about that. What you guys are practicing, what you're learning, you know, even though it's been used permanent whole life for hundreds of years by the wealthiest families, you know, ones that have shaped a lot of what we have today, like the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds or the Morgans or the Stanleys. And some of those families are the families that control the other side of the financial things that are happening. They are the wealthy, they are the elite. And I would also offer, they're not necessarily, they might be teaching this to their kids, to their future generations, but they're not helping spread this message from what I've seen. I don't know that to be factual, but I don't see them out here involved in think tank, in what Nelson saw, because Nelson started becoming aware of this back when he was doing, you know, forestry, back when he was going and as a business owner and going and calling owners and saying, hey, I can help you switch from tobacco farming to pine trees, and I can show you how it'll be more profitable long term, and I can show you how to do that step-by-step process. And everyone was saying no. He's like, well, why not? Well, because the government, and this is back in the 50s, because the government is subsidizing our tobacco farms. They are paying for us to keep the farms going. And that's when he started researching and learning about Austrian economics. He said, what's going on here? Why are people looking for a handout when I can show them a way to make their land more profitable, make it better for humanity? And that's when that idea of there are evil thoughts out there. There is nothing until we think the thing. Now, that's wild, but nothing's in existence until that's how powerful we are as humans, until we think the thing. When we think the thing, when we believe the thing, the thing is created. And this is what the quantum is. This is some of the, I mean, this is stuff that I will continually study because I love it and it's fascinating, but I don't fully grasp and fully understand. But I know that this is part of the journey. And I know that the journey that we're on together, it's a journey of truth. It's a journey of your personal journey of you owning the thing. The only way, again, this doesn't work when you're talking about permanent whole life, because you have the guarantees. You have guaranteed contractual premiums, deposits, right? Contractual guarantee that don't change, they're level. You have guaranteed growth as far as your contract goes year over year over year, and you're probably going to get a dividend, but not guaranteed. So guaranteed contractual premium deposits, you have guaranteed growth, and you have a guaranteed death benefit that's level from the day you started. And working, the reason we're here as IBC practitioners, as certified practitioners, is because the journey never stops. There's always more to learn, and I'm always blown away about how much I don't know. And that's saying something because I've had thousands of conversations, helped thousands of people do this, and am practicing this myself. But I am just at the beginning of the beginning, guys and gals, and everyone that's joining me. So I'm grateful for all of you being here today. I'm grateful for all of you being here today. It's truly a blessing to be able to share with you guys and to be able to show up and have all of you show up with me here today. I can't wait to see you in the next video, the next week. I'm going to be talking about more about how you can apply the infinite banking concept to your life, how it works both fundamentally as a process, how it's not ever about the illustration, how it's about what your need is, your belief in it, your faith in it, and the logic that backs it. The truth is simple. When you know what the truth is, you will know what to do. So continue educating yourselves, continue spreading the word, continue believing that there is more for yourself, your future generation, and your future generations to come, your kids, your grandkids, and everyone to come. So again, it's, I froze because you had to absorb the information. Exactly. It's too much powerful information. My brain, as you guys can tell, with all the intentions being written down, with the goals coming in, is just overwhelmed with gratitude, with joy, with just a feeling of belonging and seeing that this community is so small. Like, part of my thought is, why is there only 400 people here? Why isn't there 4,000? Why isn't there 40,000? When I hear there's going to be, like, I got recruited to a company that uses, I said, hey, we help people accept their family banks. I'm like, cool, how do you do that? Oh, we do that through IUL. What? Have you read Nelson's book? No. Then what are you doing? Oh, we're going to have 100,000 agents. That is the evil thoughts that I'm talking about. I'm not saying the people are evil, but the thought and using something that doesn't work, that doesn't protect people, that is not set up in a guaranteed way, that is tied to a market that is volatile, to do all those things. And I didn't mean to go off that rabbit hole for a moment, but just understanding that the principles are simple, has to be permanent whole life. It has to be through a mutually owned dividend paying whole life company. And you have to have a practitioner that's certified. And there's not a lot of us. You can go, like, if it's not me that you're working with and you want to find someone else, just go to the Nelson Nash Institute and look someone up in your area if you want someone local to you. Or if I'm local to you, reach out to me. But again, yes, Sandra, I agree. We should give the book. Now, Sandra, I would offer, show them the book, see if they have interest in the book. I've gifted it to 10, 11 people, and I found that it sits on their shelves. I had someone today talk about how he sold about 30 of those books to people this year, to clients, and then had conversations with them. So again, it's about someone wanting the information, and the information is not available until they're willing to put skin in the game. So I love that thought, but I'm also going to challenge it and say people have to put skin in the game. They have to pick a date, they have to get it done, and they have to be ready to take action. So I love you guys. I'm grateful to be here. I'm going to go learn more stuff. I can't believe I'm missing stuff, and Patty's sitting next to me. I thought she'd be taking notes for me. I think she's just supporting me, right? So love you guys. Skin in the game. We'll see you next week, next time. Don't miss it. It's going to be more stuff about this, about what I learned here. I'm going to bring it to you. So I came here so you could be here with me. Be blessed. See you next week.